Partners in Ministry, a presentation of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation, dedicated to growing ministry support networks, introducing people to a cause that connects with their heart, bringing hope and encouragement to our communities as we seek together to serve as Christ served.
Welcome to Partners in Ministry. My name is Dan Smith, and today I'll be talking with Dr. Cynthia Knight. Dr. Knight is the CEO and director of the Jordahl Academy and Choice Charter School here in Iowa. In this interview, we're going to discuss the educational voucher system, charter schools, and school of choice. Well, welcome, Dr. Knight, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, hey, the Iowa legislature just recently passed some legislation that established the educational voucher system. What is the voucher system and what is it designed to do?
So the voucher system is available for this past year was for anybody at the 300% above poverty and below. And next year it'll be 400. And then the following year it'll be open to anybody. It's also open to anyone right now who's in a public school. So you don't have to meet the poverty guidelines. And really what it's meant to do is give more choice to parents as to where they want their student to be educated. Um, as we know, one size does not fit all. And
Mhm.
so we have opened that up in the state of Iowa to include the private schools. And private schools, then the parents can choose to use their voucher to go to a private school if they so choose.
Okay, all right. I know it's early, but are we seeing any kind of impact on either the public or the private school systems as a result of the vouchers yet?
Um, what I have learned is that it hasn't had a huge impact on the public schools. Most of these students were already in private schools, and now they uh, can have their education paid for instead of having to pay for it themselves, the low income parents. Um, and then um, for Jordahl Academy, it increased our enrollment by 10 kids. So not a huge impact, but it was an impact um, for our school. Um, it's not as big as they and imagined coming out of the public schools, but it will make an impact. They had more kids apply for the vouchers than they had expected, um, which was interesting. But I think a lot of those maybe were homeschool kids, and the parents were going, "Oh, now I can put them into a school, and we can afford that," and those kinds of things.
Sure, sure. So I know one of the gossipy things that was going on out there when this whole process was going was the fear that there would be this mass exodus of public school kids, fleeing to the private or homeschooling or whatever. So that's not happening, right?
It's not happening, and I think it's because of the wisdom of our legislators in tiering it. The first year you have to meet these certain criteria. The second year you have to. It'll be interesting to see what happens in year three when it's open to everybody.
So it sounds like their first thought was, look, what we want to do is we want to remove the barrier of low income people from being able to participate in private school that the upper tier don't even have a problem with, and so we just kind of want to equal out opportunities. Is
Yeah,
that
level out that playing field a little bit
sure?
and allow parents to have a little more choice. And as we know, uh, the statistics are very clear that our areas where there's a lot of low income families, the school districts aren't doing so well. So this offered those parents another choice where there was no choice um, before.
Sure, sure, yeah, yeah. If I'm a parent out there and I'd like to maybe learn more or tap into the voucher system, what would be my first step? Where should I go first to learn about this?
I think you should go to the Iowa Department of Ed's website where it talks about the vouchers. It's very clear who qualifies, what qualifies, and how it works for the next 2 or 3 years.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, because I know there's been an open enrollment has been one of the things that's been in Iowa for for quite a while, which has allowed public school students to move from one district to another because they just would like to try a different school out or whatever. And so what this is doing then is providing the funds for students that would like to look at the idea of possibly getting into more of a private education to have access to funds they wouldn't normally, so that they could check that out then.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah,
then the open enrollment changed too. So it used to be that you had to let the school district know by March 1st of every school year that you wanted to open enroll, and now it's anytime.
okay,
So there's no longer that restriction either, which helps with that movement.
sure, yeah, yeah. I know one of the other terms that's kind of been floating around the educational community for some time now is this idea of school of choice. Talk a little bit about that. What is it? What's it involved with this concept?
Well, it goes along with the vouchers and the way the legislators are thinking that parents should have the right to choose where their kid goes to school and where they find the best educational opportunities for their particular student. Um, so, school of choice, there's and what I understand, there's going to be a couple more charter schools coming in the fall in the future years. So there'll be even more choices for parents. But it really is just giving that um, decision making back to the parents and then having options, a lot of options available for parents to choose what will best fit their student.
Sure. Yeah. Now I know you referenced this just briefly, but charter schools is one of the options now that's available for students. What exactly is a charter school? How does it differ a little bit, say, from a private school?
So the charter schools in Iowa are public schools, so they receive public funds, and they're funded with the per pupil funding and the TLC money. Um, so it's different. They don't have taxing authority or anything like that. So the funding is limited, but it is a public school, and that one that parents can choose to send their students to. Um, so that gives another option. And charter schools um, are created for lots of different reasons. So the reason I chose to do Choice Charter School was because I kept seeing 4,000 students dropping out every year,
Mm,
and we have to do as a society, as a Christian woman, we have to do something for those young people because not having a high school diploma um, dooms them to a life of poverty. It really does. Very few people come out of without a high school diploma um, well. So, so mine is particularly for those students who can't or won't go back to their public high school, traditional high school.
okay.
Um, Other ones are magnet schools, like the new one, New Horizons in Des Moines, is a K-3. Um, and eventually will be K-12, but they're starting out K-3 and they're STEM oriented. So, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Um, Other charter schools can be around the arts, the performing arts. It can be a math, there's just all kinds of reasons to start a charter school, but there usually is a driving force. What is it that the public schools um, are not meeting the needs of whatever.
Okay. Are the charter schools tuition free?
Yes, there's no fees. There are no fees associated with charter schools. Um, it is, and for Choice Charter School, since we're online, we provide the computer and we provide the Wi-Fi too if they need it. So,
Okay.
yeah, there are no fees because it's a public school, right? So there are no fees associated with enrolling or tuition or anything like that.
Sure. Well, it sounds to me then, as I look at my educational journey back when I was, I graduated from high school in the '70s. This whole idea of charter schools, magnet schools, none of this was around. There really were only two choices: the public school and the private school down. Private school was kind of expensive, and if you didn't have a bunch of money, but they were basically the same educational format. There really was not much difference between going to class at a private school as what it was in the public school. So it sounds to me like this concept of magnet school and charter school, the public school system says, hey, let's start innovating a little bit and see if we can find some alternative educational models that will better address the learning style and abilities of students that right now are just not making it, uh, rather than just keep doing the same thing and getting the same results. This is what it sounds like.
Yeah, public schools were created to teach the masses, and so it's done very, very well actually for a majority of the people.
Mhm.
4,000 kids out of the total number of Iowa students is really relatively small if you think of it in those terms. It's we have 85 to 90% graduation rate. Um, so you're right. It needs to be the charter schools are being created to find a niche of kids that maybe you have somebody who's really into sciences but the school only offers this much, and if they had a magnet school or a charter school in sciences, that student would thrive and go and do beyond. you know it just stops the limitations of what is in the school, in a traditional school that meets the needs of the mass, right?
Are all the charter schools in person or online, or is there a combination of those?
um Mine is all online. And
Okay.
then the new one that's coming on is all in person. They have a building down in Des Moines. And um, I would say mine is atypical because most charter schools are brick and mortar in a place where kids come to.
a, a great number of the students that are in any state, in Iowa particularly, I come from Montana, which is also much more of a rural state. If I want to take advantage of something other than the public school system, transportation is a big deal. Um,
Right.
so it sounds to me like your version of the online through Choice Charter School opens up a door to a student that normally wouldn't get it just because of the transportation issue. I mean, we have some students here that might go up to Allison, or they might go down to Dyke, or they stay here at AP. And for the most part, that transportation is not a big deal. But when you live out in the rural parts where it's 60 miles one way just to the next town, let alone what is it from here to Des Moines, like 80 miles or something like that? Well, there's no way I be
Right.
able to take advantage of that. So your online format then opens now another door to groups of students that normally would not have that opportunity, where in person was the only option then.
That's very true. I would say we have a lot of students who are transient too, who move from place to place, and this just makes their
Sure.
education um, a regular education instead of
Yeah.
stopping and starting and stopping and starting.
Are you getting any kind of feedback from the homeschool community at all as far as your choice star school is concerned?
I have not um, gotten any, no, but we do have some. We have had a couple kids who have been homeschooled, like seventh and eighth grade, maybe even ninth and 10th grade. And now they want their students to have a little more rigor than what they can provide. So they come to Choice Charter School.
Sure. Yeah. We have a real exciting group of students and parents that come to our facility here in New Providence once a week on Fridays, that
Mm.
are all from the homeschooling community, and it's just kind of to see how they're doing some cooperative things or whatever. So I was just curious to see whether or not there is any traction for you there.
Yeah,
Well, let's.
what's really just on a sorry
Mhm.
on a note of that, we are a public school, and most public schools will not accept transcripts from homeschooling, but Choice Charter School does. So if you have a ninth or 10th grader, 11th grader, and they need, I don't know, something that we can offer, we look at the transcripts and what they've done, and we accept homeschooling transcripts.
Sure. So is the curriculum and the stuff that you offer, uh, can I have it like a la carte, or the full thing? Like I can do all of my ninth grade education through Choice Charter School, or I could just say, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this, either homeschooling or regular public school, but I want to do the online version with Choice Charter School for maybe my science or my math. Is that a possibility?
We could do dual enrollment. Yeah, I think we could because that's what public schools do. I've not
Sure.
ever had anybody ask me that, but
That's my job.
yeah. Way to go.
So let's talk about the students. Tell us a little bit about the types of students that may be struggling in a traditional classroom that really find traction and encouragement through the charter school that you're doing.
Sure. We've had quite a variety of students, I would say. So we've had a couple students who know their path, like know what they want to do, and they need a high school diploma to get out to DMAC or to get on to whatever construction site or whatever. They just said you need to have a high school diploma. So those kids are really driven, and they know I need this, 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 and this, and this place will offer that. So let's go do it. And so the public school, you have to wait 90 days before you get a credit because they're on semesters.
Right.
And we allow kids to work at their own pace so they can get through it however fast they want to get through it. Other kids that we've had, um, I would say the majority of our kids have been bullied and harassed at school, and they're
Mm,
just tired of the drama and they're tired of the constant barrage of negativity that's going on in school, and which affects their school, which affects their attendance, and some kids get physically ill when they have to go to school because of the things that have happened. So those students find a safe place here because we're online. They don't have to walk down the hall and hear things about them, going the whispers and all of those things. Um, so those kids have really thrived here in our environment. Um, Other students who find themselves getting behind and behind and behind for whatever reason. Maybe it's mental health, maybe it is just their health. It could be that they have to help out at home so they don't go to school on a regular basis. And traditional schools are set on 90 days. And if you don't collect enough points in 90 days, you fail. And then
mm,
you have to start again and do it again, right from the beginning.
right.
Um, our kids can find themselves getting caught up quickly if they want to because they can go at their own pace. We also have um, live classes that they attend. So they have a teacher that meets with them every day to give the instruction, just like a regular classroom. But we're more project based rather than um, here's a bunch of knowledge, now take a test. Here's a bunch of knowledge, now take a test. Um, and I would say for the at risk kids who are in at risk programs, um, this is a better option because they get an actual live teacher teaching them instead of the computer saying, here's the teacher talking on the computer and now answer questions. So those kinds of kids who really need that personal touch, who need, we give them a mentor, and so that mentor checks in with them too on a regular basis to help them stay going, moving in the right direction, and getting their work done, and connecting with teachers and the supports that we have available for them. So I would say the kids that really need more personalized instruction, those kids that need um, someone to notice them and care about them. So many of our children get lost in in the numbers, and um, we we're about 170, 180 kids right now. So um, we're relatively small yet, and I think they find a place where they can fit in and feel um, accepted for who they are. And for whatever circumstances, we just work around them. We don't make them give us an excused or unexcused absence. It's just an absence. For whatever reason, you didn't come today. Okay, so let's make sure you come tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah. Are there any students that would actually be better off continuing in the traditional classroom versus uh, through the charter school?
Yes, just being online, we're limited to a lot of things, and one of those is the activities and things that kids can get involved in. So we don't have a theater club. We don't have clubs and things like that for kids to get involved in. Um, we're working with the Department of Ed to figure out if they can participate in those events at their local school district, but as of now, they cannot. The Department of Ed has said no. Um, so those kids that need that social interaction on a regular basis and want to be in those clubs and expand their opportunities in those clubs, that's a good place for them to be. And
Sure.
you know, like I said before, the traditional system has worked for a large amount of our 90% of our kids. So it's not a system that is broken. It's a system that has served um, the students who can sit still, can listen to an instruction, and produce products. It has done a really well, and still does a good job of that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, either way, I think the thing that impresses me the most, that stands out for me, is the fact that this is a way for a parent and education to sit down and say, here's what's happening with my student. Uh, let's put a plan together for success for either the next 6 months or maybe the next year or the next 4 years, whatever it may be. And let's start implementing this particular strategy and see how it goes. And let's get back together and look at it again, review it again another 6 months to a year, and see how it's going. So it's not um, it's an opportunity to make some adjustments.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's nice about the school choice thing too, is that you can choose we always think the grass is greener someplace
Mhm.
else. So if you go to one of these private schools, or come to choice charter school and you find out, oh, this isn't really what I wanted, you can always change back and go another direction. And that is truly looking out for the student's best interest.
Mhm.
So finding the place where they can thrive is really what this is all about. We want our young people to thrive in Iowa, and school choice is a way to get to there.
That's awesome. Well, Dr. Knight, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. This has really been some great information. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Hey, if you've got any questions, or if you'd like to learn more about the Jordahl Academy or Choice Charter School, you can see their contact information right here on the screen. You can also find it in the show notes for this episode on our website or in the description of this YouTube video. On behalf of the Jordahl Academy, Choice Charter School, and Dr. Cynthia Knight, I want to thank you for joining me today. And until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.
This has been a presentation of Partners in Ministry, a podcast of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation. To learn more and see the show notes for this and other episodes, visit our website. To stay informed of up and coming broadcasts, subscribe to our e-newsletter. To invest in our mission, donate today.